back to Just Energy Radio with Dr. Rita Louise.
Hello, and welcome back to Just Energy Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for staying tuned to the second hour of the show. Isn't Dr. Carolle who? Oh, I'm so glad to have her on the show today. A couple of announcements before we get her back on and continue our conversation. Just Energy Radio is brought to you by soulhealer.com, where you can learn about all the products and services I offer. So check it out. You can stay up to date with what's going on Just Energy Radio by going to our webpage, www.justenergyradio.com. You can sign up for our newsletter or like us on Facebook, where we post all the upcoming shows. Just Energy Radio is available on iTunes, here on the Inception Radio Network, live and in the archives, and on YouTube. Couple little quick other announcements. If you weren't listening to the beginning of the show, we just got informed by Barnes & Noble that they will be carrying Man-Made, the Chronicles of Our Extraterrestrial Gods, in the brick and mortar bookstores. I'm not exactly sure when that's going to happen, but they're going to. So that's like, woohoo! And I don't have all the information about the Peru trip yet, but as it's coming up in June, mark your calendar, the first week of June. And as soon as I get details, I am passing them on to you. Okay, so let me get Dr. Carolle back on, and we're going to continue our conversation. Dr. Carolle, you there?
Yes, I am.
Well, okay. So when we were going to break, you mentioned that you were going to go back into gynecology. But let me ask this question first.
Yes.
When you left, were you still on good terms with the other doctors and the hospitals, or did they think, that chick's kind of weird?
No, they don't say that, because I've been with them by then for 23 years. And I was their wife's doctor. I operated on their wives. When I started walking into the surgeon's room, because I was the only woman, I just go and say, should I change here or should I go behind the stall? They will go home and being furious, and the wives would say, I want to meet her. So we're talking in early 80s, so the wives wanted me to be their daughter's gynecologist, and they became my patients because they wanted some good role model, solid woman's role model. So I was the role model for upper middle class. There were very 4% black people in San Diego, so I was the role model for everybody, Hispanics, Chinese, everybody. So, because I was one of the few solid women who just look at the guys in the eyes and I'd say, so. But anyway, so they always call me a character. But whenever their mother will be sick, he was the head of the medical society, Dr. Mazer. His wife was my patient. And one day, he had one of his family members had something, and they say she needed surgery. But he said, you know what? I don't know. I'm an ENT specialist, but I felt maybe she did not. And she called me. She said, I want you to see that family member and let me know. And she came, and I saw him. I said, no, she doesn't need anything. She said, I thought so too. Thank you. So they trust me. And one of the things, I'm going to go back. Whenever they see me on television. After I left in 2005, I never went back. So I went back with a friend who was sick, and I went to that hospital. They said, where are you? Where have you been? You should see. And then my friend said I should come and do some teaching because I would be the person they would trust to teach them for a paradigm shift of thinking, of seeing the spirit, mind, body, spirit connection, because to me it's so easy. So I would be the one who would go to, they will listen to. In the book, I gave grand rounds at Loma Linda University for the OB-GYN department, and there were medical students coming from all over the country. And I wrote a slide that I was going to talk about dysfunction, always doing bleeding, and I say, is it hormones or something else? And then I show it to a very dear friend of mine I mentored him, and he's a big hotshot now. And I sent him the slides. He said, no, You need to cut the slice. I want you to stand and talk to them and levitate in front of them. And then they don't know what to do. They were like almost in tears because I represent the one who said, I am not going to do anything to my patients. Doesn't matter. I take a financial hit. I don't know what I'm going to do. I am leaving. I am not going to have somebody tells me what to do with my patient, when to operate, when to do this. I'm not going to do it. I took a very big financial hit, but eventually it's coming back. But it wasn't easy. So when my colleagues see me, they say, we wish we had your guts. And recently, one of my colleagues, so you understand why I'm in my standing in this community, one of my colleagues, he's retired, he's in late, like in 70s, and his daughters within his 40s, have been to the hospital, admitted many times with stomach pain, they have upper GI, lower GI, in and out of hospital emergency room, lost 20 pounds, and they didn't know what to do with her, and then accidentally, there is no accident, divine appointment, I was at a restaurant, and there she was, and I said, I know you, you're so-and-so's daughter, and I said, I think I deliver your daughter. And then another her sister came and said, you know, I'm from out of town. She's a gynecologist herself, and she said, I'm here. My sister has been very sick. We don't know what to do. And she said, where is your office? And I said, I don't have an office. I just have a healing center. People come, and I'll tell you what's wrong with you if you're stuck. That's what it said on my website. Are you stuck? Are you ready to live the life you really want? So I'm telling her things like that. She said, you should see my sister. I said, usually the people find me. Nobody finds them for me. They have to find me. Spirit guides them to see me. But she said, please, I'm leaving town tomorrow. So I said, okay, I'll see her. And then, so what? She was so weak, and she said, can I come with her? I said, when I'm working with somebody, I'm connecting with their spirit. I don't want a third party. And he said, but she's so weak, she might not be able to understand. She needs to take note. I said, okay, you can come. And if you bug me, I'm going to kick you out. I didn't know she was a gynecologist then. I found out afterwards. But anyway, I said, tell me what has been happening. We were like in April last year. She said, what's going to happen in January? She's been having a lot of severe abdominal pain. She'll be throwing up. She cannot eat. They did every test, upper GI, lower GI, coloscopy, PET scan, everything, MRI, in and out of hospital. Rule out, she's having a heart attack. And then so I looked at it, and then so you understand the way I work. Anytime you have a problem with your stomach, with your guts, something is happening. Something has been taken away from you. Something. And the stronger the pain, the sharpest, like somebody dies, somebody's kidnapped, something that the person is yanked out of you, from your stomach. Abandonment, something. So, and I look at her, the medication she's been taking, and I say, oh, some of this medication will give you nausea. So, because she cannot eat, the only thing she can eat is peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So, I said to her, okay. So, they send me an email. I'm seeing her at 11:30 the next day. So, I said to the sister sent me the email, and I said to her, you can come with your sister, but be aware that if you're interfering, I'm going to kick you out because I don't work with the third person. I have to be with that person, spirit to spirit. Mm-hmm. Okay, they came. I'm sitting. Let's say there is a table. The sister is in front, on the other side of the table. That the sister and the patient is sitting at the head of the table. Before she sat down and I'm sitting, I have the paper she sent to me, the email I printed it, and I said to her, why is your stomach hurting you? She looked at me. She started screaming. My daughter eloped. And the sister across the table said, what do you mean your daughter eloped? You're giving your stomach pain. She left 2 years ago. I said, okay, ma'am, time for you to leave. No, first I said to the sister, her name is Mary. I said, Mary, do you think you and I, we can handle this? She said, yes. Okay. I said, ma'am, could you please leave? Leave me alone. I have a beautiful big room and I have a table if I want to do healing treatment for you. So I said, so what happened to her? They are very tight-knit family. a 19-year-old daughter was a virgin, went to a party, and never came back. And eloped with a guy who took her to live with her father about an hour away, and doesn't want her to be with her mother. So it was an acute. But it takes little nausea, little vomiting, little GI symptom, little things, and in the meantime they'll tell, oh, you have gluten intolerance, oh, you have irritable bowel. She told me, she said, my daughter, and that's what was happening to her. So essentially, I told her what to do. I had her lie down and give her a treatment. I just lay hand on her stomach, and then I said to her, you need to call the umbilical cord for good. That's what's killing you. You're going to call. I said, what am I going to do? Then I called the sister. I said, she came back. Take note. You're going to go and you're going to call your daughter. And you say to her daughter, I raised you. I love you. We love you in this family. And I've done the best for you. I'm not going to suffer for you anymore. If you want to stay married, stay married. And I'm not going to text you behind your back. I need everything to be in the open. Take it or leave it. And then she's shaking. The sister said, I'll help her. And that's what she did. 6 months later, she has no more pain. She gains her 20 pounds weight back. Her daughter left the man, and she's fine. But she has to be working with a therapist and helping her. And then the thing about it is that when you have something being yanked out of you, and every time you think about it, there is a disruption of your whole body is out of balance. Then, and sometimes her mother herself had died when she was younger. So it's the same thing. Anytime something's taken away from you, or anytime you're doing something which is against your gut feeling, people will say, I felt it in my guts. I feel like puking. That's the word. Your stomach tells you. Your guts, your intuition is right there in the guts, in the solar plexus. It tells you.
And I think that's so important because there are so many people that you tell them, well, I mean, I had a client and she actually, I used to do a lot of like wellness expos, and I'd have a booth and I would see people at the expos and do little readings for them. And this woman came and wanted to know about her relationship with her. She wanted to know when her husband was going to die. That's what she wanted to know. And I looked at his energy and I'm like, well, I'm not really sensing that he's even sick, much less dying. And she was like, oh man, because I just want to be done with him. And so I suggested that perhaps she get a divorce, which she didn't want to hear that. So, I just was like, okay, that was weird, whatever. So like 6 months later, I'm at a different event and I'm sharing a booth. This was a whole life expo kind of event. It was a big event. And I was sharing the booth with a girlfriend of mine. And I finished up with my client and she was like, Rita, come over here. And I just want you to just kind of butt in on this session. And so she tells me what the woman says. And I look at the woman and I said to her, so what you're saying to me is that a sofa and a lamp is more important than you having your health. And she just looked at me and looked at my girlfriend and got up and walked away. And then I realized that woman was the same woman that wanted her husband dead, but she wouldn't get a divorce. And so she was getting sick, and getting sicker because she wouldn't do what she knew she needed to do.
Yes. Yes, many women come to me. They say, gluten intolerance, irritable bowel, and then parasites and yeast and all those things. And then I had a woman looking at me, and then she said her husband was a surgeon, and she was the head of a plastic surgeon. And then she's telling me she wanted to know why she was having whatever symptom she was having. And then every time she talked about her husband, I felt hatred. And even so much that I would go to the bathroom and feel, I'm so nauseous whenever she mentions her husband. And then at the time I was at the center. That was in 2005. And then I said to her, you know what? You're lying to me. She said, what do you mean? I said, you hate your husband. Because you're saying, oh, my husband and I, we are attached to the hip. I said, you're lying to me. You hate him and that's what you're sick. He started to cry. It was like, ooh. But anyway, I do things more simple now. I'm going to do something as simple as you ask me a question and I answer. I don't want to do anything complicated. That's what I'm ready to come back. I was telling you, when I was a gynecologist, I always felt, because at the time my gift wasn't not as acute as it is right now. I always want more time because the patients were regular patients, and I'm trying to explain to them. I created materials for them to read. I have many books that have been published. Menopause Made Easy with Hay House. And I remember Louise Hay, she met me in 1997, and she's been bugging me. What are you doing in medicine? You're a shaman. What are you doing in medicine? So, but anyway, eventually, in 2005, I was there having dinner with her and Christian Northrop, and I said, Louise said, tell her, Carol, tell her. I said, Christian, I'm a true healer now because I have met them in 1997, and Christian wrote, I have a beautiful quote on the cover of Voodoo in My Blood saying, have you lived the life you are supposed to live? That's what the book is about. But anyway, so I will go and say, okay, I want more time with my patients because I don't understand what's happening. I'm learning. The shaman is coming to me. And then, and one day, the patient came to me. She was my patient for 20 years. And I operated on her for cervical cancer, early cervical cancer, 20 years prior. And that's when the voice was so strong. And she came, do a pap smear on me. And then the voice said, nope, you're not going to touch her. You're not doing nothing for her. Her life is upside down. You're a good mechanic. You can hear the motor is not running. She comes here to wash the car. You know it's not going to work. Don't touch her. Give her back her money. Because people had to pay me in advance before they saw me. And I did not do that. The voice said, don't touch her, don't touch her, don't touch her. And then I did. So I always felt I needed time to see my patient. So that's why a friend of mine said, okay, we have a beautiful place. Why don't you turn it into the center? I have a 1 acre. It's beautiful. Anyway, I took 2 years to transform it, and all this construction was happening while I was seeing patients here. They didn't care. They said they wanted to see me. And then, so I said, come and spend as long as you want, a week. I have people coming and up to a week, and it's not very cheap. But then, as time went by, now I all know I am. I don't need time. I don't need to teach you. Anyway, I don't do anything for you spending all this time with you. You spend a lot of money and a lot of my energy that I could have seen 100 people. Mm-hmm. So after 7 years, I realized, nope, I don't want anybody. I don't need anybody to come and sleep overnight for you to pay me. Sometimes some people come, we do it over the phone, and then I have a client. She was she lives in Belgium, and we do it in French. And then she came to San Diego, and I said, you know what? You need to come. I'm not going to charge you any extra. I feel my spirit and your spirit. We have to look at each other in the eyes. And she came. It was miraculous. And then we end up spending 4 extra hours. So, but when it's time for me to give the time, I do. Mm-hmm. I don't have a watch or anything.
It's like you just know that you're. The way I just say it, it's like, well, I'm not done. And when I'm not done, I'm not done. There's when they think they're done, and then there's when I think I'm done, which it might be two totally different things.
Two different things. But that's one of the things now, by practicing and having people coming in and spending time. My sister, Marie, she's in the book, she'd be saying, she spent a lot of time here as a patient. She would say, you spend too much energy. It's too much energy. My family would come. Why are you spending so much energy with one person? But I was learning, and then I had to show them. And then many times they were not ready. I paid $600 to a business person to define who I was. And then my boyfriend was laughing. You pay $600 to find out, and this is the sentence. I work with those who are ready to heal and looking for a healthy path to a quality life. $600. But I have to repeat because this is me. So, and if you go on my website and you say, are you ready to see Dr. Carrolle? Don't waste my time. But then now I've passed that. After 7.5 years doing this, now I pass where I go to a clinic, I just look at you and you tell me. And then I call it now, you are a crossroad. Where I live, there's a T. The Lemon Avenue come to Fuerte Drive, and a T, there is a T. And I say, you're coming up from Lemon Avenue. You don't know. Should I go to the left? Should I go to the right? And I would say, tell me, my dear, would you like to go by the ocean or to the mountain? The mountain is to the right, the ocean is to the left. And he said, I want the mountain. Okay, make a right. So I call it helping people making decisions with clarity. I don't need to go into any deep things. No.
So how do you think the medical community, if you do go back into practice, I would think you would have to interact with hospitals and those kind of things.
No.
How do you think that would be accepted?
I said, Let's clarify it.
Okay.
I am gynecology. I'm an office gynecology. And then I'm going to go as a sex therapist for people with neglected vaginas. People with sexual pain. So I'm going to be, that's my subspecialty.
So you're going to be hanging out with Dr. Ruth and you can, have a joint show?
Yes, I'm going to be like Dr. Ruth, except I have operated on the vagina. I know the vagina. I have repaired it. I have done everything with it. I'm a surgical vaginologist. And then I'm having an examining table with an electrical to get my back in case the person needs me to see. Because I have the eye, I can do the exam, put a speculum, and I can look. And then I'm going to teach them some women when they cannot have sex, how they use a sex toy, how to, and then sometimes you cannot do an exam, so I might have at the office, I might have, how do you call it, dilators. Because, people have to have sex. And they can't. So, and they're not telling them what to do. And the vagina, you don't use it, you lose it. So I'm seeing too many people with neglected vaginas. That's the next title of my next book, Neglected Vaginas.
So someone in the chat room put, a vagina. I can't even say a vaginologist.
I'm a gynecologist. That's my specialty.
No. A vaginologist. A vaginologist.
I'm a vaginologist, yes.
Yeah,
that's what you like, gynae women. But it's not only the vagina, it's all the, because sexual is not just the vagina. Is the erogenous zones, is the vulva area, is the relationship, the intimacy, the health, the overall health of being with somebody you care for. There are women who want to, but because they have neglected their vagina, they cannot do that. And nobody's telling them what to do. So, I'm so upset.
But I think like women in their relationship space, they just give up. There are so many women that, I don't really understand it. They can't create long-term relationships, or they might have one major relationship, and then that's just kind of it for the rest of their life.
About this. We're talking about women who want healthy vaginas and have somebody they want to have sex with and they can't. That's what the book is going to be about. I'm not going to be like a therapist, you have this problem, then. No. We have physical, we're talking pathophysiological. That's the gynecologist.
Are there a lot of women that have that issue?
I had radiation, and then it's painful. Oh, no, I'm not going to be a sex therapist like this. I'm going to be specifically in my area of expertise. It's so funny. People say, I thought you were a spiritual healer. I said, there's spirituality, and sex is part of the good spirituality. You need a good orgasm to feel very spiritual. Yes, I'm a
Okay,
comedian
well,
too.
they're saying amen in the chat room.
Isn't that true? Okay, isn't that true?
Yeah, it's true.
A lot of people are very unhappy when you cannot have it, and especially if you have a gorgeous man looking at you and want to do it and you want to do it. I said it's just like you go to your favorite restaurant to have a steak, sauce béarnaise with filet mignon, medium rare, R-A-R-E, because I have to say R-A-R-E because they think it's well with my French accent, and then you realize you are false asleep, but you forgot it at home. You cannot chew. I've seen so many women with these problems. So this is my new crusade. I do the spiritual thing on the side, but I have to do that. Because you have to prevent it. There's the prevention. Because there is sometimes a point of no return. If you're married and you're having a relationship, you won't know what people are talking about. Mm-hmm. So those are for these women out there whose husband couldn't do it, died, and they find, okay, I'm going to date somebody new. And they realize, oh my God, I've neglected my vagina. And, there'll be a chapter on an emergency vaginal
Dr. Carroll,
kit.
it's just really not a topic I've ever really put much thought to in my
Okay,
whole life.
all right. Let's go back to the spirituality. Okay. Hello?
No, they're having a lot of fun with you. The chat room is really enjoying you, Dr. Carroll.
Oh, let's go back to the spirituality.
Okay, but I do have a question.
Yes.
When you share that information with your clients, how do they take it, or do you just not even tell them?
Which
do
information?
Dr. Carroll magic?
Oh, they find me.
Well,
let me
that
explain to you
you're
how it
receiving
works.
guidance from, spirit guides or your ancestors or whoever
No,
those people
I have
are.
everything
do you
on my
share that with your
website,
clients,
drcarole.com.
They
And they know me. And then before they come to me, I have Maja, my assistant. You don't come to me until she grills you. And the way the person comes to me, and I agree even to talk to her because I'll be too busy spending time talking to people, and they will call Maja and say, Maja, I have been searching. I don't know what to do. And I stumbled upon a website, or I read her book. When can I see her? They don't care how much or anything. They just say, I'm ready. And if she will know, Maja is an intuitive, she will know. She will know. She would say, you're not ready to see her. Call back when you're ready. Mm-hmm. And that's what I said. Am I ready to see her? Am I ready to see her? And I have criteria as where you see me. Yes. So. But anyway, in the near future,
but that's really an interesting perspective on it. But I agree with it because there are so many people that will come in that want to be quote unquote fixed, but they're really not interested in being part of the process. And it's only when you're going to be part of the process that anything is going to change. Process. Excuse me?
You have to be part of the process. I'm the mirror. Remember, I said, my father said to me, you do nothing. I'm your mirror. I said, you are sick. You're having problem with your stomach because of your daughter. You need to learn how to let your daughter go. You need to be the parent, and then she's gone, and you have to tighten up your belt and tell her, this is how I want it. I don't want to go behind your husband. Okay, grow up. You're married now. When you want to talk to me as an adult, I'll talk to you. Otherwise, I can't. I will not. No, I will not. It's very hard to make that decision. So that's why I don't see anybody who's not ready to see me.
Right. I mean, and I understand because, well, I mean, we're both in the same field, except I just take anybody,
Mm-hmm.
and then they just, complain they just complain. It's like, well, it didn't work, or whatever. I had this one client who came and she had some really bad irritable bowel stuff going on, really bad. And so, I had scheduled her to come back in so I could do some energy work, but when I'm working with people, we always kind of go into the spiritual and the emotional part and what they're holding on to. I mean, that's always part of this session. But I felt like I needed to put my hands on her. And so I scheduled her to come back in. But in the meantime, I had recommended some supplements, and I don't really remember exactly what it was, but it was like a slippery elm, plantain, something, because her gut was just ripped up, ripped up. And so I scheduled her to come back in like 2 weeks later. I wanted to get the supplements. I wanted her to be on them for a little bit, and we would take our next step. No, it was a month later. She hadn't done anything. I gave her things to do, and they weren't even that hard. And she did nothing. And I looked at her and I said, you're paying me good money to come in here for me to help you feel well. I go, but you didn't even get the supplements. I mean, you didn't do anything. So how do you expect to be well if you're not going to be part of it?
Yep, that's why you have to be ready to see me. Otherwise, I won't see you.
Or go to your regular doctor and they can just chop that part out and you're good to go.
Thank you. Thank you. And after they chop this part out, the body, the energy will go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize that when you just chop a part out, the issue doesn't go away.
Or it finds another place, yes. In the body, because I call it is your intuition, is your survival intuition who's trying to remind you to deal with it so you can be healthy. It's your, in spite of you, intuition is trying to remind you. That's what it is. That's what symptoms are.
Mm-hmm. I call it the cosmic 2x4, personally.
Oh, okay.
Where the universe is just kind of giving you that little smack up the side of the head that says, hey, you really need to pay attention.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Definitely true. Also, I can talk to somebody on the phone and feel their energy, whether they're resisting or not.
So do you work with people by phone, or do people usually come in to see you?
Yeah, she was in Belgium, and we were going to do it over the phone. And then I know, you were in San Diego, I need to meet you. I felt I needed to touch her. I did. But there were some people, they will call. They don't do that anymore. I don't answer the phone. Before, Louise Hay had told me, you need to talk to the person before. Now Maja, she's trained, she knows, somebody's ready and the person is ready, always. And then, but before, when I will be talking to the person will ask me a question, I will feel it in my gut, and then you say, I don't think you're ready for me. So that's the way I do it.
Oh, I only feel that way when I go into a haunted house. Why did you decide to, and I'm going to put this in quotation marks, come out? Couldn't you have just kept that your own little secret and kept going in the direction you had been moving forward?
I just want to honor my ancestors. I come to the time of my life where I own who I am, and this is who I am. And also, I had a conversation in 2005 with the eldest person in my family who connected the dots for me. Because I said, who am I? And say, you are the chosen. You when your mother was pregnant, your grandfather said, it will be you. Who carried his gift? And I'm realizing, okay, also people always wanted to know my history. I have written many books, and on my preface, they say I'm a granddaughter of a voodoo priest. I wrote the first part of the book from 1987 to 1992. And I ended it when I ended up medical school, and I took Murat is my grandfather's last name. So people always say, when are you going to write your memoirs? When are you going to write my memoirs? So I've written many other books, and then this publisher, she said, I want your memoirs. I was writing a book, Is It My Hormones or something else? Then the earthquake came. Then we had the earthquake 3 years ago, and I was devastated. Everything we've done in Haiti, I give back a lot to my country, to my people, to my family. Even rebuilding the Voodoo temple. And in that area, in Lac de Real, nobody got to scratch. Some of the homes that I rebuilt they collapsed. The temple did not. Nobody had a scratch. People died all around. And it was the tallest building at that area who didn't fall. Good English. Who didn't fall. But anyway, so when I went back, and then I realized now I could touch somebody. Somebody could stay in bed and sick, and I would go and touch just like my grandfather. And I'm saying, it's time to write the book. I am who I am, and I need to honor them. I had to do that. I had to.
So were they telling you to write the book? Was
Nope.
there that little voice or that gut feeling
Nope.
that was associated with that?
No, I started writing the book, and then my publisher's been bugging me. Where's the book? I didn't know when to end it. And then many things have happened. Many spiritual things have happened. And then I think by the time it was, where do I end it? And then we ended up cutting a lot of it anyway. My publisher said, it's too big anyway. But, so maybe I'll have a sequel and all this. The cut-off stories of Voodoo in my blood. But anyway.
And they're interesting stories. I mean, that's, it's kind of like we get to live your life with you. So I think that's, fun and interesting. And you're an interesting person. So one more last serious question. From your perspective, do you see our current healthcare system changing to incorporate, and I'm going to say alternative healing methods, whether it's, working with intuition or energy medicine or herbs or supplements, any of those modalities into our current medical system?
It is already in the current medical system. I live in California, remember. Every hospital have different healers, acupunctures. They offer that, the scripts, and they do. And even when I go as an intuitive healer to somebody dying or somebody has surgery, I would go and do some healing touch for them. And I would just say, I'm Dr. Jean-Murat. Yes, I'm a surgeon, but I know I'm there to do a little healing treatment. They say, okay, doctor. And then I tell them, don't interrupt me. I'll come out, give her a medication. Oh, yes, they're very open. But I'm in California. I'm in San Diego. I'm in beautiful San Diego. But what is happening is it will come. People will use the alternative, especially insurance is covering for it. But to me, the integrative is not having a yoga, having this and this, or acupuncture. Is the thought process, which is not there. So I don't see it happening for a long time. The thought process of when somebody comes to see me and she's having a problem in a part of her body, and then I do a regression. What's been happening to her? What has been happening to this woman or man from childhood? I don't go far to past life. From childhood, what is happening to that man who's one handsome young man who's as carpal tunnel is a famous sculptor who cannot stop doing sculpture, and they're doing tests, GABA painting. I go to yoga, I do this, I do that, but I look at him and I see all the nerves all black, And it's because as a little boy, somebody told him something so horrific that he has no sense of self that he can't stop doing sculpture. He's very famous. He cannot stop it. So he can go and have acupuncture, he can have herbs, he can have anything. All these modalities are band-aids. Mm-hmm. It's about the root cause. Unless there is an integrative approach to thinking and see the person as a whole. Why can't the person stop smoking? Why can't the person have unprotected sex? Why can't the person don't exercise? Why is the person is overweight? Maybe because they don't want intimacy, so they were raped. And so I don't see it. I don't see it for a long time. So one of the reasons also I'm going back to medicine. Also, I'll be doing. There is a possibility I'm be doing teaching doctors and doing a lot of teaching to. It's a thinking. It's a paradigm shift of wholeness, of integrative thinking. It's an integrative thinking. It's seeing that person in 3 dimensions, mind, body, and soul.
And I think it takes a very special gift to be able to look at someone and get to the root cause.
Yes, that's my gift. But
that's my gift too, Dr. Carol. That's why I think maybe I feel so connected to you.
Yes.
You just tell someone, oh, well, blah, 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 and then they cry. And it's like, okay, you're healed.
No, but they're not healed. I don't heal them like that. They heal themselves.
No, but by identifying and giving them the opportunities that they can make the shift. I mean, I live in Texas, so we have that. The whole thing where you hit somebody on the forehead, you're healed. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I don't say that. I said,
I just am joking.
I will teach you how to heal yourself. I'll give you the tools that I know, because when I look at you, I know which tools is easy for you. Because sometimes the pain, the little 4-year-old boy, when that person is with me, I see the 4-year-old boy, the pain of the 4-year-old boy that needs to prove himself, who has to do very expensive sculpture that he has a pattern on it, but he's ruining his nerves in his both hands. And he's getting some medication. I was covering for a doctor as an emergency. And then when I looked at him, and he wasn't ready to hear. And then I'll never forget that. I got up and I said, I see that painful little boy. And I said, do you know, if you continue like that, you're going to, trying to open the bottle, it's going to drop, or the chisel will fall. And he looked at me and he said, I am already there. I had a card, and said, I'm an intuitive healer and illuminator of the spirit. And I said, this is who I am. I am a medical doctor for you now, but this is who I am. And then I said, I also see you're not ready to hear. So the visit is over, and I got up. I saw this little boy in so much pain. And I said, can I give you a hug? I hugged him. He gave me a kiss on my left cheek, and he said, thank you for caring. But I didn't heal him because the sense of who he is from childhood, most of it is his father, make him so, he has no sense of self except when he produces a beautiful piece of art. He will do it until he has no more hands. So that's what happened.
Well, let me ask you this, because I know that you've had these people too. And I'm just going to put it in the form of an example. So you have someone, actually, and this is one that I'm sure you can relate to. I recently had someone who came in because they had that mesh put in.
In the vagina?
And because they had a hysterectomy done, an unnecessary hysterectomy done. And so then they put the mesh in, and she was having issues with the mesh. So when you have a client, and it doesn't have to be that example, but when you have a client that has some kind of, functional issue going on, they've had some kind of a surgery done, they've broken their hip, and it didn't heal right. How do you help those people?
Perfect example. perfectly simple. If you were raped as a child, if you are violated, everything in your pelvis has to come out. I had a patient. She came to me for a second opinion, and somebody told her, go and see Dr. Carolle. And she was supposed to put a second mesh, because the first one went through, and then they had to remove it. She needed it. And when I look at her, she was violently raped as a child. Women who've been violently raped are more likely to end up with a hysterectomy, with endometriosis, with problem in the pelvic area. They will have problem with their bladder. They call them interstitial cystitis because they cannot take it out. They have to take everything out. They will have the uterus out. They will have the ovaries out. And then the vaginal vault is going to prolapse. They have to put a mesh. The mesh is going to go through. It's the Denise, my mentor said, is the negative energy in that area that is destroying that part of the body. You could put 20 mesh. So what I did with that patient, when she came after she had the first mesh, they had to remove it. She needed another mesh. So I told her. So I had her work with Denise. Not until you feel clean, don't go for the surgery. Wait for 6 months. And one of the first ritual I gave her, that's what we don't have. The ritual I had her was to go home and put a bathtub with bubble water and take a brush and scrub the whole body. That's what I do for women who've been raped. I say that in the book also. I realize, why is it that, to me, 90% of women have been raped, molested, incested, whatever? Because I'm a gynecologist. They come with female problems. And then when I go and I did the survey, I work with women in the military sexual trauma survivors. I've been working with them since 1991. And when Denise said to me, I want you to come and see, come and go to your records, and all the women who did a hysterectomy, and when they come back, ask them. That's what happened. These women have a negative connotation with their genitals, and it has to come out. I had a woman, she was 45, she had complete prolapse. And when I asked her, what happened to you? She said, I was 32 weeks pregnant. I was gang raped and sodomized. They will not tell the doctors about it. Those women tell me. They tell me. So not until they own it that they've been raped, they forgive themselves, and they forgive whoever have done it for them, they can go on with their lives. They will be miserable. They will need 10 meshes.
Well, but in the case of my client,
yes,
her aunt had breast cancer. And so her doctor recommended that she just remove everything. And she did. She didn't even have cancer. She didn't have anything wrong. And I looked at her. I mean, because this was like 20 years before. And I looked at her. I said, you know, you would never have had a problem with your uterus.
If a doctor would say that to me, I'd say, you're crazy. I guess she really hates her body.
Well, because there are a lot of women that do that. You know, my cousin had double mastectomy and a hysterectomy. And I'm like, you're killing me. Why would anybody mutilate themselves that way? But we're not going to get into her whole psychological issues here. But
thank you.
I'm just like, oh my God. I mean, I think, you know, some of the things that the medical profession tells people to do is just a little scary. And
But you know, and you know what I tell women? They didn't tell you to come and ask them. You go and ask them what to do. If somebody will look at me and say, I need to remove my breast, I'll say, you crazy. If somebody would say, I need a hysterectomy, I would say, why? But then if I don't care about my body, if I don't care whatever I listen, I will do it. If there is more to it.
Mm-hmm.
There is more to it. I have done surgery. I've operated women. I was a general surgeon for a while. I have done surgery. I've done things, and that's what I left because the patients want things also. So it's not just the doctors. It's the patient.
Dr. Carrolle, I am looking at the clock, and the music is going to come up any second. So if you want to tell people where they can get your book, if they want to get a hold of you, your website, any of that kind of information you'd like to share with the listeners.
My website, drcarolle.com, drcarolle.com. The book is Voodoo in My Blood, A Healer's Journey from Surgeon to Shaman. You can, it's in Barnes and Nobles, and I want the independent places to be able to sell books. So if you want to get it on Amazon.com, okay, and you can get it as an ebook. But have this book. Go to your bookstore, local bookstore, and say, I want this book. I like Christiane Northrup, my friend. She's the best-selling author of Women's Body with Women's Wisdom and the Pleasures of Menopause. And if she said, you will ask yourself, have I lived the life I was meant to live?
Well, there's the music, Dr. Carrolle.
Perfect timing.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, and I would love to talk with you down the road. I just wish we were closer together.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're so welcome, and you have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.
That's Dr. Carolle Jean-Murat. Her book is Voodoo in My Blood, and you better buy it because she's like a voodoo priestess. She can come after you. Her webpage, www.drcarolle.com. And next week, we have Robert Thomas coming on, and we're going to talk about evidence of alien intervention. And so until next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Just Energy Radio. Be blessed.
Join host Dr. Rita Louise each week at this time for Just Energy Radio. Point your browser